That's what it says verbatim, right?
Yes, sir.
So, when it says that verbatim, what does that entail when he says, how can he have a son when he doesn't have a mate? What does he need based on the statement? Based on what the Quran says, based on this statement, what does he need in order to have a son?
Based on that statement alone with no other statement. Is that what you're trying to force me into?
No, just based on the statement. Based on the statement.
No, so I'm not a one-verse Muslim. We accept the Quran in its totality.
I understand. I'm just the statement itself. What does the statement entail?
Sure, no problem. Let's play again. If I were to isolate this verse and ignore the rest of the Quran, then it would entail exactly what you're saying, sir.
So,
good thing we don't have to do that.
So, I'm not asking you to isolate anything. The only thing I'm asking you to do is to tell me, like for example, if I were to ask you, when it says in the Quran, Allah does not beget, nor is he begotten. What does that mean?
It means Allah does not. I got my kids in here with the loud music you can probably hear.
Okay, you're good now though. So it means exactly what it says, that Allah doesn't have children, right? Nor is he born.
Correct.
Do you need another verse to tell you what that statement means?
No, I don't need another verse for that specific statement, no.
So you're able to comprehend statements, blatant, explicit statements that the Quran makes, without having to go to other verses to tell you what a verse just said, right? You can look at what the Quran says very clearly when it's clear on something. Now, I can grant you if there's something that's a little bit more ambiguous, you can use, or you might need other verses to bring some clarity on the subject. But when things are just, blatantly said, you don't need another verse to come and be like, oh, well, I can't understand when Allah says he doesn't beget nor is he begotten. I don't understand what that means. So let me go to another verse to figure out what this is saying. You don't need that. So in the same way, this is a very clear and explicit statement. How can he have a son when he does not have a mate? The statement is clear. Based on the statement, what would Allah need, according to the statement, to have a son?
Am I free to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So once again, like I've said 2 or 3 times now, you keep on trying to force me into this narrow hallway where all I have is one verse to work with. What you did a second ago was you said some verses are clear. You don't need an extra explanation from another verse. Some verses are ambiguous. In that case, you might. I say that once again, you misrepresent us because that's not the only options. For instance, let's give a reasonable example. Allah says in the Quran to strike at their fingertips. Can I just isolate that and every time I see a Christian go and do something? No. Is that verse ambiguous? No. I understand what strike their fingertips off means. But I need another verse to fully understand what that means, though it's not ambiguous. So the same thing applies here. The verse is not ambiguous, but it doesn't necessitate, because it's not ambiguous, that there's not other verses that go into the proper understanding of it.
Would you agree that the verse about strike them at their fingertips is in a context with verses before and after it that tells you what Allah is talking about and the situation he's talking about?
Yes, and in verses in other chapters.
Right. So the verse within, as strike at their fingertips, is giving you a particular situation and context that you see within the verses that same verse is in. You see that within that. So you don't have to go to another verse, another chapter, to figure out what it's saying here. Although you can, no problem. I'm not saying that that's not allowed. But you don't need to do that to bring clarity for the Quran in every situation. You don't need to do that even for the verse you brought up. You don't got to do that. See, notice I can give you, I give the Quran credit where credit's due. there's sometimes, not majority of times it doesn't, but there's sometimes where it actually gives context, where you read a verse and the context helps you understand what the heck it's talking about. So, for example, when it says in our verse, chapter 6, verse 101, its context, the prior verse before, says that they are attributing the jinns as associates with him and saying that Allah has children, has sons and daughters. Then the next verse says, he's the originator of the heavens and the earth. How can he have a son when he doesn't have a mate? And he's the creator of all things, the knower of all things. So I don't need to go into another verse to tell me what this means. Allah is clearly refuting this idea that he has children. Can you agree with me there?
Yes.
And he used, in one of the methods, the reasoning that he uses is that he doesn't have a mate to have children with. That's how he refutes this claim that he has children, right?
Yes.
So I don't need a beat that's super dumping, nor do I need another verse in the Quran to tell me what this means. I see it right there in its context and in the explicit statements. So when the very detailed explanation, the Quran, says, how can he have a son when he doesn't have a mate? Clearly it shows Allah needs a mate in order to have a son, because he doesn't have a mate or companion that's equal to him or worthy of being his companion. Therefore, he can't have a son, because he doesn't have anybody to mate with. Therefore, it's refuted that he has a son or a daughter. It's done. Pretty clear, right?
Can I go ahead and go now?
Yeah. Do you believe that that's a clear understanding?
I believe that one thing is indeed clear. That Allah does not have a mate. We don't have a problem with this. So the problem is that Allah is describing in this verse not the totalities of avenues in which, if he willed, he could take a son. Allah is basically clarifying that he doesn't have children, and he is getting rid of one avenue in which that's possible.
Why doesn't he have children? Why doesn't he have children?
In this one avenue, because he doesn't have a mate.
So according to this verse, he would need a mate to have children?
No, and I feel like now you're purposely misrepresenting me, bro, because I'm trying to be as clear as possible.
I don't want to...
He hates the Quran, man.
You hate the Quran. Hey, congratulations. You hate the Quran. If you didn't finish, I want you to go ahead and get the last word, Abu Noor, because you're very respectful. Go ahead and get the last word. I'm going to go ahead and let somebody else up to also showcase why they hate the Quran, too.
Yeah, so I'll just end with, this is the issue here. What you're doing is forcing us down this one avenue. We're not forced down this one avenue by way of the Quran. You're forcing us down this avenue by way of your own understanding, which is premature. I think that I made it clear that this one avenue of Allah taking a son, if you will, is with the mate. But according to the explicit statements in the Quran, it would not be the only avenue, but Allah gets rid of all of those avenues. And I can leave it there. That's it for me.
All right. Appreciate you for participating, man. Thank you. Oh, well, okay. I guess he's really done. All right, Abu Noor, I'll catch you on another one, man. These Muslims hate the Quran, man. They sure do.
There has not been one Muslim today, Avery, that has not hated their Quran. They all hate their Quran. Every one of them.
Switch it back to StreamYard, y'all.
Yeah, they hate their Quran, man.
Yep. They hate the Quran. Y'all see it? Y'all see it? The only thing we're doing is, what's the only thing we're doing around here, fellas?
We just read.
We just read. Reading their Quran. Reading that Quran to the Muslims, having them read it, and they denying it, rejecting it, twisting it, reinterpreting it. They hate the Quran. They wish Allah never said what he said.
Mm-hmm. We just reading that reminder, man.
We just reading that reminder, man. And they wish the reminder reminded them of something else.
They wish that reminder forgot.
They wish they reminded them forgot. Good, googly moogly. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and let me get up a couple more super chats.